Good morning, everyone. It's Sunny Feminine from hearthealthbrainhealth.com, encouraging healthy grieving and mindful actions. Today, I thought I would start a series of videos for this year, and they're all about the virtues that are best expressed through feminine energies. And I want to make sure that everyone knows that all of us carry both masculine and feminine energies. And then there are some virtues that are specifically female energy related from the Gita at least. And so this video specifically, I wanted to start with this idea of Gita and the gift of gab. And I want to make sure that we understand that this can be a gift. It can be a blessing, but it can also be something that works against people. And like I said initially, that both men and women have feminine and masculine qualities and virtues. And we can be mindfully attentive to this because I find that a lot of people that I speak with will say, oh, guys do this or girls do this. And for the longest time in my life, I have not liked to differentiate those two. I really think that guys might be socially trained in one way, women might be socially trained in a different way. And so we might see more people behave this way in one group or another. But quite honestly, I've seen feminine qualities in many men, and I've seen masculine qualities in many women. And so I've always felt that it's whatever we spend the most time building within us. So today I wanted to talk about the gift of gab, and I thought I'd start with this quotation by Buddha. And it says, "Teach this triple truth to all. A generous heart, kind speech, and a life of service and compassion are the things which renew humanity." And you realize that that kind speech is in there, right? So this is so interesting because this is known as one of the virtues that the Gita talks about. And it's about speaking, which is a word that in Sanskrit is called vak, which specifically means the ability to convey the correct information and the way of sharing that information, right? So it's the way of sharing information through speech. And this is so interesting to reflect on for all of us, right? That how are we expressing things, and not only in our own minds, how do we write things to people? How do we speak things to people? What is our intention behind that? And we all know that no matter what, even with the best of intentions, sometimes we can speak something, it's just not received the same as what our intention was through sending it. And then it might help us modify and improve, or it might actually just help us have an understanding and compassion for how different people might experience things, right? But if we start with the intention of kind speech, it makes a world of difference. So the next quotation that I thought I'd share with you is actually from the Quran. And this quotation says, "Kind speech and forgiveness are better than charity followed by injury." Kind speech and forgiveness are better than charity followed by injury. This is so interesting if we think about this. This is from the Quran, and again, these are all important spiritual texts that I feel all have a very common theme, that we have all started from a common perspective of kindness and kind speech being part of it. This is again, if we think about how every single spiritual tradition, every religious tradition encourages kind speech and forgiveness. We'll say also from this quote, but kind speech. And yet there is so much anger and animosity between different groups, right? So even within the same overall religion, if there's a slight difference of, let's say, Sunni versus Muslims, or we say that Advaita versus Vaita, and this would be non-dual versus dual perspective, right? So all of this sort of thinking, which separates us and often leads to not such kind speech. It's so interesting that if we're just starting with something as simple as kind speech, we can see that most people are most kind when someone that they're speaking to shares their own perspective. And yet, do we need to share each other's perspective, or can we just be kind regardless? And that is, of course, what I would encourage all of us to do today. Today, I thought I'd also share another quotation by Thich Nhat Hanh, and this says, "If you are motivated by loving kindness and compassion, there are many ways to bring happiness to others right now, starting with kind speech." And this is so interesting, right? It takes so little. Like, don't you see this, that when you're speaking with someone kindly, with your speech being in a particular tone or particular feeling behind it, there's a whole different experience for the other side. And don't you find the same thing when that sort of speech is spoken to you, a loving kindness, that expression that makes you feel like listening to what the person is saying, or makes you feel like actually understanding what the person is saying, or makes you feel like hearing what the person has to say, right? So all of this, we can do this in our day-to-day experience, right? Because this is one of the beautiful ways that we can share with each other in this world. And I would encourage you to try this for 5 minutes after this video. Not only 5 minutes. I mean, I would love for you to try it specifically for 5 minutes, but if you can be mindful about this kind speech today with whoever you speak with, whether it's colleagues, whether it's family, whether it's people on the street that you don't even know, why not use some kind speech? And sometimes you will notice this with just the friendly hellos that people say when you're walking, right? I don't know if you go for walks, but I love going for walks. And I can tell you it's such a beautiful energy just to get the pleasant hellos with people. And some people can walk by and say hello, but there's actually, it's just kind of a nicety, but not really a feeling with it. So a lot of times when people are kindly expressing something, they're actually looking at the person and saying hello, and that sort of idea. And it can be just a hello. It doesn't have to be a conversation, but you can actually feel that kindness, right? And that's a beautiful energy for us to put out into the world. And then I wanted to finish finally with one more Buddha quote, and it says, "Speak only endearing speech, speech that is welcomed. Speech, when it brings no evil to others, is a pleasant thing." And this is so interesting, right? What does this mean? Brings no evil to others. If I am judging you or I'm criticizing you, you could have done this better, you should have done this better, you should do this like this, it's not really this welcoming, endearing speech, right? So that sort of idea. If we are saying that, hey, you know what? Maybe you could do this way, or do you want to try it this way? You can still help someone improve, but how you are speaking to a person makes a lot of difference. And if you've been following me for a while, you know that I really encourage good communication between people, and we can all learn, right? We're all growing, we're all learning, and no one is perfect, but we're all trying to get to that place of perfection, right? So use today as an example or a time for practice, and hopefully it becomes part of your day-to-day experience with everyone you speak with. I wish you a fabulous day, and I hope, remember, transform your mind and transform your life. Have a great day, everyone.